Objectively speaking, of all dragons, Bahamut has made the best decisions. He is also the most handsome, and his hoard is giganticest. When you think of dragons, what comes to your mind? Great winged scaly beasts that spit fire and poison, that steal princesses, devour your cattle, and raze your homes to the ground? Do you think of noble knights fighting fire-breathing worms atop a hoard of gleaming gold? Indeed, such dragons do exist. Those with bright chromatic scales of red, green, and black. But they are only one half of a whole. They are the children of Tiamat, my sister. A real nasty piece of work she is. A gargantuan five-headed worm whose heart is a bottomless pit of greed and malice. She is the embodiment of all things that make dragons such vicious and terrible creatures to face. I will not lie, dragons are greedy and prideful by nature, but there are those who do not behave in such wicked ways as Tiamat's children. The dragons bearing shiny metallic scales of gold and silver and bronze. My children. I am the other half, the twin brother of Tiamat, the grandfather of good dragons, lord of the north wind, the justice maker, the valiant. I am Bahamut, the platinum dragon. Where Tiamat is bottomless greed, I am compassion. Where she is a dragon's fury, I am their majesty. Her breath is a torrent of elemental fury, obliterating any in its path. Mine is a chill mist which heals the righteous and excises evil. My sister's body reflects the only thing she represents, the only thing that matters to her. Power. Her physical form is so bulky and massive and muscle-bound. It's clumsy and cluttered. Her scales are a muddle of colors of her heads. Mine are a sleek, gleaming platinum from nose to tail. My body is just as powerful as hers, but more lean and serpentine. A far more elegant and noble form, if I do say so myself. And I boast the better frills out of both of us. When I unfurl my mighty wings, those left in its shadow do not quake in fear. They stand tall, knowing that the platinum dragon is with them, that justice itself is on their side. Unless they are my enemies, in which case, cowering in fear is the appropriate response. Justice and order. That is what truly sets me apart from my misbegotten sister. Tiamat is chaos and evil, the worst parts of our primordial father concentrated into a single monstrous visage. I am his righteousness, his desire for the truth, and his mercy made flesh. Great Askorath, I know that you would be proud of all I have done. As a god of justice, it is my duty to ensure that the innocent are protected and the wicked are punished for their evil deeds. And as both dragon and god, there are many ways I can accomplish this. The first is rather tedious, but of vital importance. Nestled in the heart of Mount Celestia of the highest heavens is my lair. Though I find that word a bit off-putting, I prefer to call it a palace. The walls of crystal and platinum, floors of hammered silver and copper, glass windows with panes of gold. I built it myself from my own enormous treasure hoard. Now, do not be too quick to judge my love of treasure. A god of justice I may be, but a dragon is a dragon by any other name. And what is a dragon without a sizable hoard of treasure? I simply put mine to purpose rather than lay about it all day. It is within my palace that I hold court, Many times have my worshippers brought before me those guilty of criminal and wicked acts. They seek to know my justice. A pair of mortals are brought to me, 2 humans still living, one older, one younger. They were caught attempting to steal from me. The elder pleads that he sought only a magic item to cure his child's illness. The younger one looks at me with a kind of contempt, refusing to defend himself, and he spits on my perfectly polished floor when I ask him to do so. I pause a moment. I must not be hasty in my ruling, but I must be stern. My voice speaks like the rumbling of faraway thunder. My judgment is thus. These thieves sought a magic item in my possession to cure the ails of their family. But more than just what they needed did they take. Greed overcomes their desire to do good. But I sense there is no malice in the elder's heart. He will be permitted to work off his debt to me for 10 winters. I will not let him age, and he will not be harmed. When his sentence has been served, he will be safely returned to his family. The younger one, who spits upon my mercy, who looks at me with hate in his eyes, will suffer the fate of all who dare to steal from the Platinum One. The floor beneath the young man begins to ripple, and he sinks into it like quicksand. Your body will remain as a part of the foundation of my castle. Your spirit will remain here forever, whispering your folly to any more thieves, lest they share your fate. Know that this is my judgment, and you have brought this on yourself. The floor swallows him up quickly. Then court is dismissed for the day. Clerics and paladins that follow my righteous path make pilgrimages to my court so that they may witness such judgments, learn what true justice really means. But there are so many who do not follow my ways. I am not a jealous god. I do not eye the followers of other deities with envy. But I do see the wretched state of mortals that would lead them to steal from the grandfather of dragons himself. So I descend to the material plane from time to time to impart my wisdom and advice freely onto those mortals in such desperate need of it. I adopt a disguise, of course, usually that of an old man or wandering young monk. Mortals are much less likely to run away screaming at the sight of an elderly vagabond than a 30-ton dragon. The knowledge I deliver unto them is not only a means to better themselves, but to test the limits of their noble spirits. Justice, nobility, honor. These are the measures by which I judge mortals. I happen upon the home of the men who tried to steal from me. I wish to make measure of their remaining family. They offer me shelter and food, and for their good deeds, I tell them of what happened to their loved ones. I do not give all details, of course. I told them only that in desperation they sought to steal from a king. They were captured and punished. The young one was executed, and the elder will be returned in 10 years. The woman weeps at the news, and the sickly young one looks at me with pained, questioning eyes. He is wondering if he will live long enough to see his kin return, and he's wondering why the king I told them of would want to execute his brother so. I leave the young one with my wisdom. Justice is a tricky thing. It must tread the line between discipline and compassion. If we are too lax when dispensing justice, then none will learn their lesson, and quickly shall they fall back into darkness. The king no doubt saw this in the young man who tried to steal from him, and so he was punished rightly. But if we are too harsh in our punishments, if the hearts of those who claim to dispense justice are not capable of compassion towards even the guilty, then that same darkness will consume us in our need for power and the once truly just shall become as a tyrant, crushing all beneath cold iron boots, whilst convinced of their own righteousness. Be stern of arm and kind of heart. I depart from there, secure in knowing that my words have resonated with the sickly young man, and I offered him a special brew of mine, imbued with a little bit of my mercy. His illness will be cured by light's end. Further down the road, the chirping songs of my 6 golden companions bring to me dire news. Followers of my sister are attempting a ritual. They're gathering in greater numbers than they have in ages, and with more magic and gold than ever before. I see, sister. You're making your move, attempting once again to break your bonds in Avernus and bring yourself to the material plane. I cannot allow this. My sister must be stopped at all costs. But by divine law, the gods are forbidden from directly interfering in the affairs of mortals. By nature and by oath am I bound to this. I am not a free deity. I serve another god of righteousness, Torm, and I serve him as a knight serves a king. It is a knight's duty to protect those who cannot protect themselves, but I cannot interfere. So I shall seek out mortals to stop my sister's schemes. Gather your enormous flock of greedy misers and fearful, power-hungry cultists, sister. My own army shall be comprised of true champions, the most honorable, most noble, most just, and most capable of mortal champions shall not yield to your ferocity. Your terrible visage shall not despair them, and your hoards of golden treasures shall not blind them. Your schemes shall come to naught. Your chaos and your evil shall not taint this world. True justice shall prevail. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. This was the second video in my Through the Eyes of a God series of videos, where I attempt to explore the perspectives of the many deities of the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse. The first video in this series was on Tiamat, the many-headed god of evil dragons, so I felt it was only fitting that Bahamut, her equal and opposite counterpart, a god of good dragons, be next. So I do hope you enjoyed, and I do hope I gave the character justice. No pun intended. Look out for more videos on my Through the Eyes of a Monster, which was the progenitor series to this one, as well as more shorts in the future. You guys seem to really enjoy the wacky little non-lore shorts, so I do plan to do more of those in the future, so keep an eye out. And of course, a special thank you to my wonderful patrons. You are few, but you are mighty, just like the champions of Bahamut. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!